Should you buy a business or should you start your own? In this video today, we're actually going to go through the pros and the cons of whether you should build a business from scratch or if you want to invest in somebody else's business or buy a business from somebody that already started one. So by the end of this video, what you're going to learn is the pros and the cons of what makes sense for you, whether you should actually start your own business or whether you should just buy one. And if you guys actually stay till the end, I'm actually going to tell you the biggest mistake people make when actually buying a business from somebody else. I've been in business for 20 years plus. I've built a wedding photography business from scratch, built it up to over 7 figures, and then I actually had a real estate investing company. Well, we built it up over 2 years to making more than $60,000 a month, which was amazing, but super stressful. I've also had the opportunity to invest in a franchise restaurant business. I bought into a Smoothie King. That business was already running for a full year before I invested and became 50% partners. A year from after that, we actually made the decision to open our second store. So I actually had the opportunity to start a franchise restaurant business from the ground up, building it out, and then actually starting and building a whole new team. So as you can see, I've actually had experience doing both things. Today, I actually want to go over the pros and the cons of each of them so that you see what makes sense for you if you're looking to get into entrepreneurship and you just don't really know what makes sense. Okay, so let's go into looking at buying a business and whether it makes sense or not. If you are buying somebody's business that already exists, here are the cons. You are going to be inheriting a team that already is in place that was under the management of the previous owner. So there's two opportunities here. One of them is whether you're going to be buying somebody out completely and then you taking over the company, or you're investing into a company, saying say you want to invest into a restaurant and the owner wants to bring on a partner, then you actually are part owners with another person. So those are slightly two different scenarios, but you're both buying into a business, and so the pros and the cons are kind of the same. And so another con of owning a business or buying into a business that somebody's already started is that you actually have to have quite a bit of capital to start, because it's usually a multiple of the gross revenues of the business. So if the business is super small, then the amount that you need to buy into the business could be small, but if it's a successful business and it's making good revenue, you might have to come out of pocket 10, 20, 30, 50, $100,000. And unfortunately, a lot of people don't have that kind of capital, so that may not be an option. Another con for buying a business that already existing is that you're inheriting, a problem. Usually the reason most people sell is that the business isn't doing well and they're just trying to get out. That's not always the case. Some people, life, circumstances change and they actually have to, sell the business. So you need to make sure that you are doing your due diligence, because that could be something that is a hidden problem in the business that could bite you in the butt down the road if you actually don't do your own due diligence. Another thing that is a con for being a partner with somebody else in the business is that when you invest a large amount of money and money is involved, people change, okay? And people need to make sure that the expectations and everything are lined up with money, how it's going to be distributed, things like that, right? And so when you have a partner, there's going to be disagreements, there's going to be compromises that you need to make, disagreements about where you want to take the company, things like that. And so when you have a partner, obviously they might be 50-50 with you, and so you guys actually have to work with somebody else to make sure that you guys actually come to a decision that is good for the company. And sometimes, people change in what they want and things like that, and so you want to make sure that the communication line is always open, okay? So that is a con, but that actually can be down the road a good thing too. So I will talk about that here in the pros here pretty soon. Another con of buying a business that already is running is that you actually have to be able to go into a situation not knowing anything about the business and start learning and actually get up to speed quickly. So there's several scenarios. If you buy outright, then obviously you need to jump with both feet in and actually be able to take over operations pretty soon. Hopefully there's a transition period. But if you are investing and buying into a business, then you might be able to learn from those guys that are still the owners and could get you up to speed quicker. but that is something that you're going to need to do as a new, investor, partner, or co-owner in the business. Okay, let's jump into the pros of actually buying a business that actually already exists. So one of the biggest pros is that you actually can learn at your own pace if you choose to, because if the business is already running and is successful and you becoming a partner in the business, you could be a silent partner or you can be a operational partner or whatever makes sense for you guys. And so you can learn, behind the scenes of a business that's already running, so you're not actually having to learn everything from scratch. So you can see all their standard operating procedures, their marketing, their employees already know what to do. So you're learning and you're seeing it, behind the scenes perspective of how to run a business. And so your learning will actually accelerate so much faster. Most people that get into their first business or any business, actually, you're going to be learning a lot. And if you're starting your first business, then you're going to learn so much, because you probably, unless you were a previous business owner, which I assume you aren't, you actually haven't had any experience in actually building a business, growing a business, marketing, sales, and all that stuff. And so a lot of people that go into business, they have to learn all that stuff by themselves. And so if you actually have all the systems already in place, and then you can just watch it and then learn from it, your learning is going to be so much faster. It's going to be super compressed, which is amazing. Another good thing about buying into a business is that the sales and everything are already in place and people already know about the business, so you're going to be turning a profit almost immediately. When I bought into my Smoothie King, my first store, the store was already operational for a year. The staff and team was already running smoothly and it was already profitable. So immediately I started getting the return on my money within the first month, which was amazing. And so for businesses that are already operational, you're buying into a cash flow that already exists. And so that is a huge plus, because for a lot of businesses, when you first start up, you're not going to make money for a while. But if you're buying into this business and it's already there, then boom, you actually can start making money right away, which is comforting, because you're basically buying an income stream in buying a business. Obviously, there's going to be work, but you get paid relatively soon. So another pro of actually buying into a business that already exists is that you can basically leverage other people's time, and you're actually having a business, right? So you're usually buying a business that is operational partly without you, and so you're leveraging your time and leveraging other people's time for your money. Whereas when you start a business by yourself, you're doing everything yourself, and so you're just an operator at that point. But as a business owner now, what you're doing is you have a well-oiled machine that is actually making money for you, and you're leveraging your team's time and efforts to make you money, and that's truly a business owner. Okay, so I'll get into that a little bit more when I talk about building your own business. The last pro, among many, there's many more, but one more thing that I want to mention is that you actually are buying a business in a box, right? So a business that's already established, you don't actually have to create all the systems yourself. It's already there, and that's probably what you're paying for. That actually just gets you up to speed so much faster in terms of learning everything, but you don't actually have to reinvent the wheel, as they say, right? And so those are the pros of buying into a business. Okay, so let's speak about building your own business or starting your own business from scratch. Let's start with the cons first and see if it makes sense for you. Okay, the cons of building a business from scratch. You're building it from scratch. You have nothing has started, and so you have to build everything, right? You have to figure out what the business name is. You have to figure out what are you doing? What are you selling? Is it a service? Is it a product? And if it's a product, how are you going to make it? Are you going to source it from somewhere else? Are you going to fabricate it yourself? Or if it's a service, what service are you doing? And then you have to figure out how to market. What is your message? What is your branding? What does your logo look like? Setting up an LLC if you decide to do one. You don't have to, but you can. Setting up a business account. So there's so many things you need to do when you first start out a business. And so that's the thing with starting a business from scratch, is you have nothing. You have started from nothing. And another con is that it all takes a lot of time. So I'm assuming that you probably are a working professional, or you have a day job, and then you have to spend your evenings and stuff like that setting all this stuff up, right? And that takes time. All businesses take time, but when you're first starting up a business, it takes a lot of time to kind of do everything, because here's the deal. You probably haven't done it before. Just like I didn't know anything about that when I first started my photography business. I was learning everything from scratch and learning as I was going, which is good and bad, right? Another con of starting a business from scratch is that it takes capital sometimes to start the business. Sometimes it doesn't cost a lot, especially if you're doing a service business, but it takes some capital to start up, and it might be a couple months before you actually make your first sale. Some people, it takes 6-8 months before they make their first sale, and it might be a year before they're even quote unquote profitable, right? Because you're spending all this time and probably some money to market or whatever you plan to do, but it's a lot of time and you're not making any sales. And so another con is that a lot of times it's really frustrating when you don't feel like you're actually making any money and not seeing any progress in your business, because some of it just takes time, and you need to get your name out there and get your product out there or service out there and let people know about it. So a lot of work takes to get the momentum started, and unfortunately for a lot of people, they give up before they've actually hit their first milestone to making that first sale. And so that's one of the cons, is that it is a long uptick time to actually get any momentum. And once you do, then it's easy to kind of stick with the business. But unfortunately, that uptick time could be a couple months, could be 6 months, and most people give up before that actually get there. So you have to understand that you have to have the discipline and have the wherewithal to go through those rough times, because if you don't, you're never gonna make it to the part where you actually start making money. And making money doesn't mean you're profitable, okay? So you're just making money just to maybe cover your expenses and maybe cover some of the subscription fees for the software that you might be using or whatever it is. But you're not gonna be really truly making money probably in 6 months before you're maybe profitable at all. So that is one of the biggest drawbacks for starting from scratch. Another problem from starting from scratch is that you're having to learn all these new roles that you've never learned before. So here's the problem with most entrepreneurs, right? They have one skill, maybe they're an accountant, and they learn that one skill really, really well, and they can deliver that service impeccably and at the highest quality. But they don't know marketing, they don't know sales, and people's biggest problem for most people that are not salespeople in their professional life is that they don't know how to sell, right? And so that is a big struggle for most entrepreneurs when they start out. They're like, I don't really like sales. It feels like I'm being pushy, or I feel bad for trying to sell something to people. And so they actually have to learn sales, they have to learn marketing, they have to learn accounting, they have to learn, filing a business entity, all these things. And so you have to learn all those at some point, but you have to learn it all at the same time when you start out, because you actually have to set all that stuff up to basically get your business started. Now that I've actually talked to you about the cons of opening your business or starting your business from scratch, let's talk about the pros and why it can be a great thing to start a business from scratch. When you start a business from scratch, you can actually define the vision and where you want to take the business. Another pro is that you can actually bring a product or a service to the marketplace that never existed before. So if you have an amazing idea and figure out that people need this service, you can create your own unique thing, which is amazing. And I got to do that when I created my real estate business. I got to do that when I created my photography business, and it's amazing. There's a whole lot of pride that goes into creating your own business, and I think that it's something that every entrepreneur at some point should do, instead of just buying into businesses, is creating one from scratch, because it teaches you so much. When I mentioned earlier that one of the cons is that you actually have to create all these systems in the business, the marketing, the sales, accounting, financing, and all these systems that you have to do, I labeled it as a con because you actually have to do all that and have to set it all up. But the plus side of having to do all that is that you learn all the critical areas of the business. And any entrepreneur knows you have to first be able to master and learn all those parts of the business before you can delegate and teach other people how to do it and delegate those responsibilities. If you as an owner of the business don't know about your numbers and your accounting part of your business, you don't need to be able to do the data entry day in, day out, but you need to understand what are the important numbers to look at, what does your balance sheet look like? What does your P&L look like? And so as a business owner, when you first set it up and learn how to market correctly, learning your messaging and learning how to sell, those are all the things that you as an entrepreneur really need to have in your belt to be able to teach other people, because if you don't know those skills, how do you know the people that you hired are doing it right? That's the key, right? You need to be able to master and be good at it so that you can actually hire other people. You don't need to be the best in the world, but you need to be able to guide your team and teach them what they need to learn to start, and then hopefully down the road they learn it and eclipse you in talent. But at the end of the day, as a business owner, you really need to learn each of those skills before you can scale and actually bring on team members so you can delegate some of those skills. Another pro in the business of starting a business yourself is that you actually have full control of where the business goes, but also what you want to do with it, right? So you don't actually have to consult with anybody, and you don't actually have to ask somebody else's permission to do what you want to do. You have full control. So if you need to take time off in the business for your own personal circumstances, then you can, and you won't have to need to answer to anybody. Another pro of actually opening your business, starting your own business, is that you get to keep 100% of the profits, right? Because you're the sole owner and you get to create it. And so you can create the brand as your name or whatever you decide to come up with, but it's your brand and you can actually build it any way you want. And that's one of the things that I truly love about building my own real estate business and photography business and my own coaching business, right? And so those are the pros of actually starting your own business, but you learn so much from having to do it all yourself. But part of that is you have to do it all yourself. But those are the things that you really need to learn anyways. And so part of the journey on the entrepreneurial journey is building it from scratch. And the beautiful thing about learning to do this all yourself is you're going to learn about discipline, because it takes a lot of discipline to learn all this stuff and build it from scratch. Another thing is you're going to understand the business so much better when you build it from scratch. Another thing is you're going to learn self-confidence and learn and understand how much it takes to build a business, so that down the road, when you are a more mature business owner, you truly understand all the pitfalls that you've made and all the mistakes that you've made when you first started your business, and now you're not going to do it again. But if you buy into a business, you won't understand some of the mistakes that the previous startup guy, the guy that started and founded the company, you don't understand all the trials and tribulations he came into to get to the business where he is now. You only see the shiny business that it is, that you've bought into, that is profitable. But when you go through yourself all the highs and lows of creating that business, you're going to appreciate it more, but also become a more resilient business owner. And the people that are successful in business actually are the ones that can fall down and get themselves back up and learn how to be resourceful, because there's going to be ups and downs in the business. And the people that don't get back up are the ones that fail, because you're going to fall. But the question is, will you get up and come back and learn from that, and then actually grow to become a better business owner? I've failed so much in business. I know that I have lost a lot of money in the business, but I've also made a lot of money. But every entrepreneur's journey is like that, right? You're going to lose some, you're going to win some, and hopefully your losses are less than what you've been making and that you've learned. But here's the deal. It's a long journey, and it's not something ever going to be a get rich quick or get rich easy. So this business is something that's going to require you to dedicate a lot of time and a lot of effort to build anything that's worth holding on to, or worth talking about, or worth using to support your lifestyle. Hopefully you guys today have actually got a lot of value. If you really like this video, please give it a thumbs up. Make sure you subscribe to the channel and click on the notification bell so that you can actually get notified when I post some new videos about creating your business and being the boss of your life. Here's a question of the day for you guys. What business are you looking to start or looking to buy in 2022? I would love to hear back from you guys. If you guys put it in the comments, I would love to interact with you guys and see what is really driving you and what business you're looking into. Again, guys, be the boss of your business and your life, and I will talk to you soon. Bye-bye.